Some roads lead home. Others lead nowhere. But what if the road just ends? What if the darkness swallows you whole and no one ever finds you again? This is not a story of criminals or suspects. There's no crime scene, no blood, no witness pointing a finger. Just a young man, a phone call, and a vanishing so eerie. It still haunts everyone who hears it. This is the story of Brandon Swanson. And you're watching from the Unsolved Vault. It was May 14, 2008. Marshall, Minnesota. Brandon Swanson was just 19 years old. A regular young man, smart, sociable, with a passion for science. He'd just finished his first year at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. And like many students, he wanted to celebrate. That night, he attended a couple of small gatherings to mark the end of the semester. There was light drinking, nothing wild or out of control. Friends later confirmed that Brandon didn't appear intoxicated, certainly not enough to raise concern. Around midnight, he said his goodbyes, got into his green Chevy Lumina, and started the drive home to Marshall. A drive he'd made many times. But Brandon never made it home. At 1:54 a.m., Brandon's parents, Annette and Brian Swanson, were woken by a phone call. It was Brandon. His voice was calm. Controlled. He said he had run his car off the road and was stuck in a ditch. Not injured. Not in danger. Just needed a ride. He told them he was near Lind, a small town about 7 miles from Marshall. His parents got into their truck and drove out to find him. Brandon kept the call going, directing them to flash headlights, honk, and describe what they saw. But something was off. Despite both parties being convinced they were in the same location, they couldn't see each other. Not even a flicker of light. Brandon grew slightly frustrated, but never panicked. After about 45 minutes on the phone, he said he'd leave his car and walk toward the lights of Lind, which he believed he could see in the distance. His father stayed on the line. They talked about mundane things. Life. Plans. Then, abruptly, Brandon cried out, "Oh, shit." And the line went dead. The Swansons tried calling back. No answer. They drove up and down country roads, searching. At sunrise, there was still no sign of Brandon or his car. At 6:30 a.m. they contacted the police, but law enforcement didn't act urgently. After all, Brandon was an adult. He had the right to go missing, they said. Maybe he was sleeping it off. Maybe he'd show up. But the Swansons knew better. Something was wrong. Finally, hours later, a search began. And the first piece of the puzzle emerged, Brandon's green Chevy Lumina. But not near Lind. Not even close. It was found near Taunton, almost 25 miles away. That meant Brandon wasn't even in the area he thought he was. That chilling realization changed everything.
Investigators brought in search dogs, helicopters, and ground crews. Tracking dogs followed Brandon's scent from the car toward a gravel road, across fields, and to the Yellow Medicine River. There, the trail ended. Did Brandon fall in? Did he drown? Divers searched, but the river wasn't deep. Nobody. No clothing. Nothing. Then came a chilling twist. The dogs picked up the scent on the other side of the river, which meant Brandon crossed it. He was alive, at least for a while. But where'd he go next? Rain begins to fall lightly, the search expanded. Hundreds of volunteers combed through brush, wetlands, and farmland. For days, weeks. Nothing. No phone. No wounded. No clothing. No remains. It was as if Brandon had walked into the darkness and disappeared. As the months passed with no answers, theories began to emerge. Some believe Brandon had a medical episode of hypothermia, perhaps from the cold spring night. Others believed he fell into a hidden crevice or drowned in another body of water. But one theory stood out, unsettling and persistent. Was someone out there? Was Brandon's disappearance not an accident, but the result of foul play? That sudden exclamation on the phone, "Oh shit," echoed in the minds of investigators and listeners. It wasn't a slow fade. It was immediate, sudden, sharp, like something or someone had interrupted him. Some pointed to the isolated roads, the proximity to farms and wooded areas, where a crime could go unnoticed. Others speculated that Brandon had perhaps stumbled upon something or someone he shouldn't have. But with no evidence, no signs of struggle, and no body, everything was just a theory. The Swansons never stopped searching. Every spring and summer, they organized searches. Every year, they returned to the place Brandon was last seen or believed to be. Annette and Brian became advocates for change. Their tragedy led to the passage of Brandon's law in 2009. The law requires police to begin an immediate investigation when an adult goes missing under suspicious or dangerous circumstances. The law helped others, but it didn't bring Brandon home. Thousands of tips have come in. Not credible. The case remains open. And Brandon Swanson, young, bright, full of life, remains missing. His last words still echo, "Oh shit." And after that, only silence. It's been over 15 years since Brandon vanished. His parents still live with the pain, still hold on to hope, and still wonder what happened that night. Did he meet a tragic end by accident? Or did something darker happen on that gravel road? We may never know. But one thing is clear. Brandon Swanson didn't just vanish into thin air. Someone knows something. If you have any information about the disappearance of Brandon Swanson, contact the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. And if this story haunts you like it haunts us, subscribe to Unsolved Vault. Because the truth is still out there, waiting to be found. Hit the subscribe button. Roads lead home. Others lead nowhere. But what if the road just ends? What if the darkness swallows you whole and no one ever finds you again? This is not a story of criminals or suspects. There's no crime scene, no blood, no witness pointing a finger. Just a young man, a phone call, and a vanishing so eerie. It still haunts everyone who hears it. This is the story of Brandon Swanson, and you're watching from the Unsolved Vault.